if you take Michael Thomas and not a running back, then at 15 at running back, you're taking a chance on like a Josh Jacobs.
You're talking about the drop off from like Dalvin Cook.
You feel much better about Julio Jones compared to Michael Thomas than you do like Josh Jacobs compared to Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook. Kamara.
Yeah.
What's up, Fackers? We are back with our Fantasy and Chill 101, counting down the top 101 fantasy football players for the 2020 season. We have reached the top 5. Number 5 in our countdown is wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints, Michael Thomas. He is our number 1 ranked wide receiver. Last year, he finished as wide receiver number 1. I'm going to read off these stats and just prepare yourself because they're a little jaw-dropping, so just get ready. He had 149 catches for 1,725 yards and 9 touchdowns on 185 targets. He scored 310.1 fantasy points, an average of 19.4 points per game. He set the single season reception record last year with 149 catches in a season. And if you're looking for how that compared to other wide receivers, miles ahead, he was 99 points above wide receiver number 2, almost 100 points better than the next closest wide receiver. Okay, so he was just miles ahead of everybody there. That's why he's the clear number 1, and then we've talked about those other 4 guys, but he's by himself in a tier, I think. He finished as a top 5 wide receiver in 9 of his final 12 games, so he really finished strong. Not that he wasn't strong the whole season, but he really finished strong. And some of those numbers were due to the crazy target share he had. A 32.5% target share. Almost 1 out of every 3 targets was going to Michael Thomas last year, which is pretty ridiculous, especially with a couple of the other guys they have there. So I don't expect that target share to be that high this year, but he's still going to get a ton of targets.
Yes. I mean, I love Michael Thomas. I think everyone does. He's a monster. He's consistent as can be. And he's got Drew Brees. They have great chemistry. The only problem is where you're going to have to take him. There's so many running backs going around there. And if you do go wide receiver first round, you're looking at that, like we just talked about in the last video, the Kenyon Drake or maybe even Austin Eckler as your number 1 running back. And that's what scares me in most drafts, me personally, when I do get Thomas, is because he falls to like 8 and I can still get a Josh Jacobs or maybe even a Joe Mixon on the second round turn there. So love Michael Thomas, but the running backs that you're risking instead of him is basically my problem.
I have a little personal anecdote to go along with that point. So once upon a time in 2018, I had the 6th pick in our draft. And you can see the jersey I'm wearing. I wore it for a reason this episode. I drafted Antonio Brown of the Pittsburgh Steelers, first wide receiver off the board. He was the consensus number 1 guy. He had just came off a huge season like Michael Thomas. He was going around that draft. Not like I reached for him or anything, but I took a wide receiver first round, and I immediately regretted it. It was terrible. I drafted Devontae Freeman as my first running back in the 2nd round. I don't even know if he played a game. It was awful. So I say that. So as good as Michael Thomas is, just like Britt's saying, the beast wide receiver, you're gonna have to be pretty convicted to take him there over a running back, because if you don't take a running back first round, you might be setting yourself up for failure. All right, so I wore this Antonio Brown jersey to remind me of my sins and to make sure I do not commit them again.
But you just said last video you might do it.
I might.
So you're just gonna. But I will say, I think Michael Thomas is a lot safer pick than. He might be the safest.
Let's go
wide
back
receiver.
in time 2 years ago. How safe was Antonio? Oh, but I will say, okay, I missed out on the running back. Antonio Brown still finishes the number 1 wide receiver that year. Like it's not like I fucked up and picked a bad pick. He was still the number 1 receiver. So what I'm saying is Michael Thomas could still be number 1 again, but you're gonna miss out on that top running back, which is what cost me.
It's It's the points above replacement kind of. In running back, there is a huge fall off. At wide receiver, I mean, last year, I guess, yes, he did score 100 more points than the next guy. But the guy, I mean, I don't know. Maybe your guy in your league actually won with Michael Thomas. The guy in our league didn't even make the playoffs. So
let's talk about the drop off real quick. So if you take Michael Thomas here, the guy, or let's say you don't take Michael Thomas and you want to take a wide receiver in the 2nd round, you could get maybe like if a Julio or DeAndre falls to you, right? So that's who you're getting instead of Michael Thomas as your first wide receiver. Whereas if you take Michael Thomas and not a running back, then at 15 at running back, you're taking a chance on like a Josh Jacobs.
You're talking about the drop off from like Dalvin
Right.
Cook.
You feel much better about Julio Jones compared to Michael Thomas than you do like Josh Jacobs compared to Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Kamara.
Yeah.
Jacobs is going 9 right now.
Yeah,
And
so
they're only
yeah.
2 wide receivers in the top 14.
It's going to be like an Eckler or Kenyon
Yeah.
Drake.
Eckler, maybe Miles Sanders with his injury, maybe Chubb. I don't know. I feel like Jacobs, Joe Mixon, those guys are going to be gone. You're going to be pairing Michael Thomas with like maybe Sanders, Kenyon Drake, Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler, and then's the real drop off when you go to Carson, James Conner, Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, I mean, I still think there's a good running backs there. Now you're gonna have to hit on him, but I just think Michael Thomas is he's way too safe. Like, I'm not gonna be taking him around 5 or 6, but if he goes like around the turn, which I doubt he will, then
That's the thing. You have to take him here.
yeah.
My point exactly. Yes, if I can pair Thomas with like maybe a Clyde Edwards-Helaire or a Joe Mixon or even Josh Jacobs, I'm happy with that. But if I'm getting Michael Thomas at 5 and I'm staring at Miles Sanders and Kenyon Drake, I'm thinking, what the fuck did I do here?
Now, if you do want to be kind of scared off of Michael Thomas, I guess you could say that they finally have a wide receiver, like another wide receiver to pair with him. Emmanuel Sanders is there now, so maybe
Not really worried about him, but yeah, he is good.
And they have been running the ball a lot more. Like each year, Breeze gets older, they start running the ball more, with the exception of last year. But Bridgewater got hurt.
More. They signed Emmanuel Sanders.
Or-
Jared Cook just came off a great year. Watch out for Traquan Smith. Deep sleeper this year. I like him.
Breeze he's just going to keep dumping it off to Michael Thomas
Yeah.
and Kamara.
Yes. That was the point, Matt. Like his yard per reception has never been over 12.4. So like Breeze doesn't really need the arm to get it to Thomas. It's all about the timing.
And that's like people want to make fun of Thomas because all he does is catch slants, but yeah, like you can argue that when you're comparing like wide receiver to wide receiver, who's the best in the league. But when you're talking strictly fantasy, that's
There's
exactly
not an
what you
argument.
want. When you're getting 12 plus targets a game, yeah, give me those 6 yards each catch, and you're gonna rack up PPR points.
Yeah, I will argue forever that DeAndre Hopkins is a better receiver than Michael Thomas, but he is not a better fantasy
No.
wide receiver. There's no argument.
Now,
Yeah,
look-
and I mean
Go ahead.
the
Yeah.
most exciting wide receiver is Tyreek Hill. Michael Thomas is boring as hell to watch. But like I don't, you have those Tyreek Hills and those Antonio Browns who can take it to the house any fucking play.
Yeah.
So, but like you said, when you do draft Michael Thomas, you're drafting stability, and that's why I can see people doing it in the first round. Because yes, there are some questions around Joe Mixon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire,
Yeah.
those kind of running backs going around there. And Michael Thomas, you're going to be solid, and you're
There's
not
no
going to worry
questions.
about it.
Now, two of the bottom 4 quarterbacks in the league in intended air yards per attempt were Drew Brees, Teddy Bridgewater.
Ooh.
So they're just dumping it off to him. That's why I think Kamara is going to have a bounce back year too, because they're going to dump it off to him a bunch, as you've seen in the past. And Michael Thomas, I think he was number 1 in red zone targets too. I don't know if you had that written down, but yeah, he had like 20 points. I think it was 26 targets in the red zone and 20 completions. So he's going to get you
just
touchdowns
on
too.
record that Keller said he would take Michael Thomas over Kamara, right?
I said I might.
Oh,
When you have them ranked back to back, though.
I have them right next to it. It's not like I'm having to like reach or anything. Like I have them 5 and 6.
Okay. So in our draft, you will take Michael Thomas above Kamara.
He
Is
just
that what
wants to.
you're
He wants you on record.
saying? Wait, Matt, we already have him on record. If Lamar Jackson is there past 15 or Mahomes, he's taking it.
Yeah. Oh, I lost that video.
That's
actually.
on record.
I couldn't find
No,
it.
my record was if I have the number 1 pick, I will go McCaffrey, Lamar if Lamar's still there.
See, I could have sworn
No,
it was after 15.
I know
but
what you're
it's
thinking.
amazing.
I said that I would think about taking a quarterback starting at 15 this year.
Okay.
Whereas in the past, I never would take a quarterback.
I have a little trivia question for y'all while we're about to end this about Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas.
Damn
See the
it.
answer?
All right, you got it. Shit. I phrased it wrong. No,
It's a terrible
in the top 40 fantasy performances last year, top 40 at any position. I guess it might have just been. I think it was any position. How many do you think Michael Thomas had?
5.
Britt.
Top 40. So you're saying top 40 per week.
No.
Just
Top
top
40
40
overall
overall.
performances for the whole season.
Top 40 overall performances. I'll go with 2.
It was 1.
Well,
That's
the
crazy.
quarterbacks are included though.
I think they might have been, but
That's
still,
still
like
crazy.
wide receivers
For
can
him
go.
to finish 100 points above the second wide
Yeah.
receiver and now only have 1.
He had that one game with like 50 points. Didn't
That
he?
was the one. Yeah.
But he had a couple more like 40 points.
Wait, what game are y'all talking about?
And some crazy point total one game I remember.
Oh, it must have been this one. 11 catches, 180 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Jesus. He did have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 100-yard games. I mean, that's
Yeah, he's like super safe. Don't be scared from him. But as we
But-
already said, you're going to be missing on the running backs.
someone's gonna get a steal on Michael Thomas, but you better hit your number 1 running back.
Or 0 RB.
God, I done that. And I was starting Kareem Hunt, DeAndre Swift, and I didn't like it.
All right. So, Michael Thomas, you're going to have to take him in the middle of the first round. And like I said, learn from my mistakes. If you want to, you might have a bad time. But he's still going to be very good for you. He's almost the best guarantee of a guy to finish number 1 in his position. It's probably Michael Thomas to finish as a number 1 wide receiver. But you're going to have to really hit, like Matt said, on that next running back that you take. But he is our number 1 ranked wide receiver, number 5 overall. Yep.
Yep.
Hit that subscribe.
Hit that subscribe.
Yep. So